What's happening, everybody? Like my shirt? Tokyo Ghoul. No, I'm sorry. Okay, so today I am reviewing my third X Japan review. That's awesome. I never thought that I would review this many albums of X Japan simply because I never had any before. But I got all of these kind of around the same time. But today I am reviewing X Japan's third album, of course, while they were still called X, Jealousy. Really hard to see that one. You got that? Yeah. Oh, there we go. Now you can see it. So, now, this album is the album where X Japan took a step forward in production, and this is one of their more, it's not as raw as their first two records. It really took a step up production-wise. You know, they really kind of fixed it up with the vocals and the way that the guitar tracks were mixed in with the rest of the band, because with previous records like Blue Blood and on certain songs like Orgasm, guitars were kind of a tad quieter than I would have wanted. Vocals were always a bit quiet in the previous records. Not as well mixed, not as well produced, but with Jealousy, they really took a step up in production. So that was just one quick thing that I wanted to point out there. So here I have the special edition of Jealousy, the 2-disc version. And the thing that I like about this one is that, unlike my We Are X soundtrack and my special edition copy of Blue Blood, this one is in very good condition. It's not, there's nothing broken, you know, it's not a very fragile case. It's pretty good case here. So that I do like. Very thick booklet too. They got a lot of stuff in there. But the one thing I will also point out is that there was only one song from Jealousy that appeared on the soundtrack for We Are X. Only one song. And that is, of course, Esther. A piano string in Esther. The opening track, which is just a short minute and 51-second instrumental, piano instrumental, to open the record to Silent Jealousy. Now, I really don't know why they would only pick one song from Jealousy, because in my opinion, it is one of their best albums. One of their best. I will rank all of X Japan's albums in the time that I decide to do so. But, yeah, only one song. I feel like they could have easily picked a couple of other tracks, like maybe Silent Jealousy itself, or Voiceless Screaming, Say Anything, all great tracks. Now, the instrumentation on the record is also a great step up from what they did before. I'm not saying that anything from their last records was bad, but once again, it just ties into the production value that wasn't seen on the previous records, that is now seen on Jealousy. Great step up. It really complements the instrumentation on here. Especially the vocals. I always point out the vocals. So, at the time that they were writing this record, it would become the last album that Taiji appeared on, unfortunately. I do enjoy Taiji's bass work, definitely. And I also enjoy Heath. But it's just really kind of sad to think that, because when Taiji left in January, I think it was January of '92, and they still never explained why they had to fire Taiji from X. It's just really disappointing, especially since X Japan would later go and meet with Atlantic Records in New York, which is like that's where Taiji was going for. He wanted to go to the States. But of course, as we all know, or if you don't know much about X Japan, I do explain it in a couple of my other X Japan related videos, but they do explain that Taiji wanted to go overseas. So did Hide, but they never released a record in the US, unfortunately. That would have been awesome. That definitely would have been awesome. But the songwriting on the tracks itself definitely improved with songs like Silent Jealousy, Voiceless Screaming, and then, of course, kind of taking a step into the 80s, a little bit more of their 80s sound that they didn't really experiment a whole lot with stuff that you hear in Desperate Angel and Joker. Very much kind of reminds me a bit of a glam rock kind of a sound. Or like an 80s rock. Because glam rock, it's more of a look. It's not really a sound. But something like that. Like, you know what I'm talking about. If you've heard Desperate Angel or Joker, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Which is the kind of sound that I don't enjoy all that much, even though I do enjoy the songs themselves. They also still keep in time with instrumentals on the record, as they've had multiple instrumentals on all their albums. I believe their first album had 2 instrumentals. Blue Blood, I think they had about 2 or 3 instrumentals, and Jealousy here also has 3 instrumentals on here. So it's an interesting aspect to see on the records, especially to see on every one of their albums, to have so many instrumentals on them, except of course Art of Life, as it's just one song. It has so many so many aspects to Art of Life, so many movements that are some instrumental parts, and some amazing solos as well. But I feel like that's just something interesting to point out, because I've never seen a band that incorporated so many instrumentals into their records, which is the reason why the second disc, the special edition second disc, only has 7 of the 10 tracks. I didn't realize before that that was because the other 3 tracks were instrumentals, so it'd be useless to add them to the other disc. But of the instrumentals off this record, I find myself probably enjoying the opening track the most out of all of these. The White Wind from Mr. Martin is also a very, very exquisite track. I love the guitar playing on that track. And Love Replica I never really enjoyed all that much. It was an instrumental that I felt would grow on me a little bit, kind of like how Exclamation did, but it never really did too much. There's still time, though. There's still time. Pick a couple of favorite tracks off of here. Let's see. 2 favorite tracks off of here would be probably Say Anything. I do love Say Anything. And Silent Jealousy. I absolutely love those 2. And a least favorite I will say is just Love Replica. Never cared for it. Which is hard for me to say, because I do enjoy X Japan's and X catalog just so much. Even the tracks that not a lot of people are familiar with, their earlier songs like I'll Kill You, Space Time Lovin', I believe is what it's called, and the original version of Orgasm, which is a lot faster and a lot more lower production quality, probably because it might have been like a smaller studio, with not top of the line audio equipment, which was pretty common at the time. And even today I know that there are studios that don't have a lot of top-notch quality studios around. I've been to a couple of them. So that's probably what you hear on some of their earlier tracks. which may be why not a lot of people listen to them. And then, of course, some of their later tracks, like Standing Sex, which is an awesome one. The last song, which is just a hard one to listen to. It's really hard to listen to the last song. Everything that you hear in that song, the emotion and the feeling going into that recording is just so sad to hear that one. Which I have to laugh. They say that the last song is at the end of the We Are X film, and I never hear it. I never hear it. I don't know why. Maybe I just keep missing it. I keep forgetting to listen to hear it, and I never hear it. But Jealousy, it's not as metal as their earlier records. You know, the only really metal tracks on here is something like Silent Jealousy and Stab Me in the Back. Those are the only really hard-hitting, fast metal songs. Most everything else falls along the lines of rock, really. Just flat out rock and roll, which is what we need today. But if you are not a fan of X and you've never heard them, I would actually suggest go and listen to Blue Blood before you listen to Jealousy. You'll hear a lot more of what X Japan is really like on Blue Blood. Like, that's their signature record, next to Jealousy. And of course Dahlia, which is another highly acclaimed album as being one of their signature records. But, yeah. And if you have heard X Japan and you haven't heard this, come on. You need to listen to this. Come on. Highly recommended. Highly recommended. Absolutely love it. I like the cover too. Like, it's an interesting cover. Interesting cover. You know, I saw behind the scenes photo shoots of, like, when they were setting up to take the picture and everything, the photo shoot. It's different. Very different. So, thank you for watching. And let me know what you think of this record in the comments below, and I'll see you all in the next video.